the One Piece news. So they posted this very Gamba enjoyer thingy, right? So these are all of them side by side, and because I'm a very good content creator, I already deciphered them very neatly right here. And I assume this is pretty much also the episode order, by the way. So we got a few things that are kind of big here, right? The Roger one, I think, is obviously Logtown. And it makes me wonder whether or not we're also going to get bonus Roger lore. Because otherwise, like, obviously, Roger is going to be a big focus. Obviously, right? Because it's Logtown. But I do wonder with how much focus is put on, like, even his very cool mustache and everything, whether or not we might get a flashback that might not be expected exactly. Because they've already filmed stuff in season 1, right? With like the whole Roger execution. They might have something else up their sleeves. So that's obviously Logtown. I don't think there's anything particularly surprising there. What is surprising though is this one. The Room Bar Pirates. Why is Roger blonde? I think the colors are a little bit different in like a bunch of the illustrations, so I don't think you should really take this as is this like a Mandela effect? No, it is true. I thought so. It's on his flag too. I was about to say, am I experiencing the Mandela effect? No, I'm not. It actually is legit. So yeah, there it is. Do you think they'll reveal Brook so soon? Let's talk about that. Yes. I think it might not be Brook, but I think it might be something that is very clearly pointing toward Brook, right? I think they might do something that is a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, instead of just actually being like, this is Brook. But clearly, like, they're including the violin. And I don't think this is a situation where it's like gonna be something very cheeky. Like, clearly we're gonna hear Brook doing the Yokokoko or something like that. They probably won't show his face because it would mean already casting someone. Yes, I think they're going to be... Basically, I think they're going to be cheeky with it. We're probably going to hear him play the violin. They might hear, like, Bing Sasake or something. And, it, like, to everybody who knows, it's going to be very obviously Brook, right? Because, again, they're including the violin. And the violin is, like, the dead giveaway that they're actually going to be doing a full-blown thing that takes up a big part of the episode. So... Because this could have been what's-his-face instead. Wouldn't that kind of spoil the plot twist? Well, it would obviously spoil it, but I don't think, like, I think for a casual viewer, it's not really going to do anything. You know? I see the appeal of leaving it a complete mystery, right? But at the same time, I think, like, for most viewers, it's really not going to matter. Like, if you know nothing about what Brook is, you're not going to know anything about Brook, even when you see this, right? Like, if you see a guy playing the violin... And then we get to Thriller Bark, and there's a skeleton. Which, by the way, if we get to Thriller Bark, but if we get there and you see a skeleton, like, I don't think it's gonna be like a very big deal. Casting Brook is unlikely. Even if he is cast, it's not gonna be the real guy, right? Like, don't get it twisted. Even if we see the face of Brook, it's not gonna be the real Brook. In the same way they already did, like they have a Foxy poster. They have this. To whatchamacallit, it's not going to be this guy or Bellamy. These are obviously placeholders. So, there it is. Next up we have Vivi, which I think is pretty obvious. The only thing is, like, the way they did... the way they've done her... Hold up, let me get... Where's the way they did her, like, her little hair thing is very weird. What is this? What is this? Looks very weird, but that's Vivi. We got Igaram. Igaram looks the least cursed, I guess. Little Garden looks badass. That's our Wax Boy. That's Wapal, which is a little bit weird looking, but okay. And then we got Choppa. Goated. Don't you think the marketing is revealing too much? There are still more than 3 months until the premiere. Every week they deliver something very revealing about season 2, like the logos. Yes, and I mean, I've gone back and forth about this because I don't know who this marketing is exactly targeted toward. And we have talked about this before. The way Netflix is treating One Piece is unlike anything I've ever seen with any show ever. I don't even have anything to compare it to. In terms of what they're revealing, in terms of how much casting news, everything they're publicizing themselves. 99% of shows never announce anything to do with casting at all. Because, like, honestly, no one really cares, except for, like, the hardcore people who are following the production. But for most shows, that is basically no one. Like, when taken as, like, a grand view. Right? Netflix is treating One Piece very, very differently. And I mean, I don't know if super casuals are even looking at this, or if they even care about any of this, or what. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, for me, I know everything that's coming. I do think they're revealing basically everything, and it is a little bit weird, you know? But at the same time, if you don't know anything, I don't know how much any of this means to you. So I'm very much like of two minds. I would love for everybody to go in completely blind and just never know anything. But at the same time, One Piece is like such a known entity that I'm almost like, I almost have a hard time believing that a lot of people are not going into this implicitly spoiled, you know? Because there is so much marketing flying around and so much pictures that are like of the manga, of the anime, of everything. I'm kind of just like, if you're following One Piece even tangentially, I kind of have a very, very hard time wondering how you're not even spoiled, you know? Because if you're just going to be binging one part of the series, you can just read the manga, never interact with anything, you're not going to be spoiled. If you're just binging the anime, never interacting with anything, you're not going to be spoiled. But if you're watching something like Netflix, there's just so much time in between and so many places where you get spoiled that I don't know. Casuals will come into contact with fans that do talk about it. Yeah, and that's kind of like where I'm saying, like, implicitly, I feel like most people would come in contact with this anyway. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't have a clear answer to you. Ideally, none of this would exist. But ideally, we would also be just as excited, you know? Like, I hold very, very two opposing opinions. I wish there was zero marketing. Like, none. We go into the show completely blind, everything is a surprise. But I also want to be just as hyped up as I am while following all of this. So I hold two of these opinions at the same time. Because, like, I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things in my entire life was following the year by year production of The Walking Dead. Right? Like, I just talked about it with, like, the whole behind-the-scenes stuff. Getting the leaks, getting everything to do with behind-the-scenes was just as fun as following the show. And again, it was the same thing because I had read the comic book. So for the most part, I knew what was going to happen. But still, like, the whole rush of it created the fun. But I also wish I was blind with everything, and I just didn't know anything about anything. So, I hold two very, very contradictory opinions. I've said this like 10 times. I feel like we are reaching the point where they don't have more stuff to announce. You know, because we're going to blitz through Season 3 casting. What do they have left? Like, they're not going to start... And I said this last time. They're not going to start posting Season 3 production materials, right? Before Season 2 is even out. But they did start posting casting news, and we were like, okay, makes sense. Maybe they don't want leakers to, like, leak the casting. Okay, maybe. But what if leakers start leaking the production materials? Are we going to get Season 3 production materials before we get Season 2? Like, at that point, it's seeming kind of ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't know. Why does the skull in the Chopper logo have such an elongated chin? I think it's because the head shape of Hero Look is slightly odd. Maybe it's a reference to the spoiler culture of the manga? Maybe. Maybe. I get the same rush with spoilers in the manga. Yeah, I think that's where I kind of draw the line. When it comes to a completely new story, I don't want spoilers. Hero Look doesn't have a long chin. He doesn't have a long chin, but his head shape is slightly odd. Here we have a very nice side-by-side, see? Like Roger is a very round boy. Hero Look is a very oval boy. Round boy? Well, I guess this is not a round boy. This is like a diamond shape. But he's a very oval boy. A very, very oval boy. Maybe they're experimenting because there's also the fact that revealing stuff intermittently before the release will allow whatever changes they make to be cushioned for impact. Then when it airs, it wouldn't be jarring to those who know. To casuals, it's nothing but pictures. That is an interesting theory, because, like, one of the things that people have often thought about is whether or not, like, a lot of leaks are basically like A/B testing, right? So sometimes when you see something, it might actually be leaked from the production company to see how people would react. So it would be interesting if they're also trying something like this, where they're releasing stuff knowing that this might be, like, slightly controversial, so they dull the impact of it. That would be smart, but I don't know if that's what they're doing. And one thing, I went on seven roundabout things. So they have kept one of the best things about Season 1, which is the custom intros for every single episode. Every single episode is going to have a new title card. Cinema. Now, the other thing they need to keep that other shows like don't really do are the wanted posters. If they keep the wanted posters and the custom title cards for every single episode, I will die happy. That's all I want. I want two things. Custom title cards and wanted posters. The wanted posters are easily the coolest thing they did in season 1. It should have looked cursed, but it was awesome. The wanted posters had no right going as hard as they did. And the scene just keeps rolling. It's a thing that is acknowledged in a fourth wall breaky way, and we immediately lock in for the rest. It works so well. Love it. Love it. I just want to see what other kinds of things they do with the wanted posters. My favorite is Buggy slapping it out of the way. Yeah, the Buggy one is excellent because he just flies on the screen and Buggy just rips it away. That one's also good. And I just wonder, what are they going to do with the rest? It's going to be very, very interesting. And I really hope we also get to all the times where Luffy's wanted poster is updated, because I would want to see what Luffy does with his. Because Luffy's wanted poster wouldn't really be introduced with like a aura, you know? Luffy is just, he sees it and that's kind of it. But I wish we get one of these times where it's actually slammed into the screen. Season 2 will definitely open with Luffy's Gum Gum wanted poster. Maybe. I think there's a decent chance that Season 2 might open with Alabasta, actually. Like, obviously not Alabasta, but an Alabasta scene. I think there's a decent chance that happens. Like a very, very big picture, there is something going on in a faraway land. And like Crocodile appears or something. I think there's a decent chance that happens. Like the cold open of Season 1 is actually setting up way later down the line. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? And the other bit of news is casting. We got Mr. 1 and we got Ms. Doublefinger. I don't know who either of these people are. Huh? And why does it look like a 0? Oh, he has never been in pretty much anything before. That's cool. I've said this before, I'll say it again. We need to stop casting people who everybody knows. Start looking for new actors and make like a new name out of them. Literally every single successful show has done this. Stop casting people that waste your budget. Just find someone who fits the role. She's been in a bunch of stuff. Haven't seen pretty much any of it though. But yeah, those are our casting news. I wonder if we're gonna get more of Baroque Works. I assume we are, but it's kind of crazy that they're opening up with Mr. 1 already. Because like I would have expected them to hold off on Mr. 1 for a long time. Because Mr. 1 is like, I mean, that's basically the end. They'll cut the fight between Usopp and Chopper versus Miss Merry Christmas and the guy with the dog gun. I sure as hell hope not, because Usopp was already like mishandled in Season 1. Like they desperately need to give him aura. However much they can. They need to make up for a lot of ground with Usopp. Even though Miss Merry Christmas was like, Miss Merry Christmas was more obnoxious than Buggy initially. And that's saying a lot. Miss Merry Christmas was so annoying. And I don't even know why. I just got mad every single time she was on screen. It's crazy. Do you think it's possible that they will make characters age in between seasons to make the actors aging as the characters too, so that they do more seasons? It's not being weird with ages? Yes. And I think with One Piece, it's very, very easy. They're just going to tell you that they were traveling around for months instead of weeks. You can also do like a bunch of stuff where they know each other way better, right? So they can do like implicit bonding that has already happened. Right, so suddenly Luffy can know that Zoro drinks in this particular way, at this particular time, this particular thing, even though we've never seen it, right? But they've been traveling around for months, so they have an excuse to already do this whole thing where they know about each other. There's a bunch of stuff they think they can do that is very, very easy. Like with One Piece, the passage of time is not a problem unless you just say that, like, the actors are literally going to be like 40 by the time we reach anywhere. Then it gets weird. But until then, it's not a problem at all. Luffy avoided the tree this year? Wait, oh, it's happening again? Luffy narrowly avoided another bucket hat incident during the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Parade. There he is. Must be crazy to just go outside and see a giant Luffy. Lore accurate, though. Lore accurate. Was there anything else? Oh, there was this. The title of one of the episodes was Where There's Smoke. Where There's Smoke. This is episode 301. Where There's Smoke, there's fire. So episode 1 is Ace, right? And Smoker, I guess, because it's both. Very, very good episode title, by the way. This episode title, Chef's Kiss, because it works for both Smoker and Ace. Give whoever came up with the episode title a raise, because this one's big brain. But there it is, the season 3 script rather. Also, I think they're being very cheeky, and this is actually just one page. Because I remember when a bunch of other scripts came out, people started doing like hyper analysis. You could sometimes see letters poking through the first page, and then people started reading the script underneath. It was crazy. Most of the time it's not possible, but sometimes it is possible, and that's when things get goofy. So I think if you look at like this staple thingy is just one page. I don't think there's anything underneath. That's the one thing I hate about Netflix's Avatar. And One Piece live action, Going Merry or Appa, both travel times are lost to time. Yep, and that's the Netflix format, unfortunately. When you have only 8 episodes, you don't have a lot of bridges. When you have 20 episodes, you have 20 bridges. You can bridge travel time between every single episode. You can't do that with 8 episodes. So, like, implicitly in your brain, even if you're told that they've been traveling for the same amount of time, it's just not that believable. Whereas in Avatar, every single episode starts and ends with travel, right? So over time, it just, like, subconsciously builds in your brain. And it makes sense that they've been traveling around forever. Netflix just can't do that unless they get 20 episodes. Unfortunately. Very, very unfortunate. The production team has the mindset of filming 1 season per year, not releasing but filming. That's the only way the series can be sustainable. Yeah, but, like, I don't think financially they would be given that much leeway. Right, because I think even if they were telling you that like this is going to be a massive success, I think at some point they're going to be like, we can't project expenses that far ahead, you know? Because I think filming for the most part is almost like the easiest thing. I think for the most part everything that comes after that's expensive. So I don't think they would get like that far ahead, unfortunately, even though it would make perfect sense. The ever expanding cast, unlike the anime, they can't necessarily bench characters for several seasons. Yup. That is the biggest thing with this. If they don't give Kobe stuff to do, if they don't give Garp stuff to do, if they don't give pretty much everybody who is written off in a couple of episodes stuff to do, they're basically not going to get him back. Just realistically, right? This is not even a thing about, again, people say like everybody would want to return to One Piece, yada yada yada. It's a matter of contracts. Right? So even if you want to return, if you can't shoot at this particular time in this particular place, like, it's just not gonna happen. The thing I always mention is, like, Saul Goodman, right? Like, Saul was supposed to be in an episode of Breaking Bad. He was filming How I Met Your Mother. He was already on the cast. So this is not even a thing of they wanted to get, like, him to film. He was already filming. But schedules didn't match. So they made the character of Mike. And that's just like a logistics question. You can't really plan for that at all. If you don't have someone like regularly on the crew for like 10 years, and then you say like 10 years later, hey, we want you to come back for another episode, and then they're already filming something, like, very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Make Kobe Piece spin-off to cover what the Marines are up to in between One Piece seasons. I mean, honestly, if they made like a goofy little almost sitcom with Kobe and the Marines, make it like super cheap. Just super stupid. Just literally a sitcom, right? I'd watch it. Why not? Make like 20-minute episodes. Completely meaningless sitcom nonsense. Kobe needs to pick up an order for Garp. Let's follow him try to get his order. And then he just like, I don't know, he's late. He's stuck. I think they revealed everything there is to reveal about Season 2. There's literally nothing except for some visuals and, of a few characters. There's going to be a full trailer, and that's it. Yeah. There's nothing more they can realistically do for Season 2, outside of just a full trailer. And a full trailer is probably going to be like January or something. A pseudo-anthology like One Piece spin-off where they can do pretty much everything from cover stories to the Noel stuff. I mean, I would love to be like, hell yeah. But they're not even doing that in the anime. Most of the cover stories are not adapted in the anime, goddammit. Imagine if we get a live-action Eneru cover story before we get it in the anime. I think that'd be pretty funny. One Piece live action has its next flagship show? Yes, I do. I think they are kind of testing the waters to see how One Piece does. There is a lot of like very, very weird strategic talk in the industry about like different ways Netflix is producing different things, and like cheap things perform way better, but they want to have something like Netflix, something like Stranger Things that gets you on the platform. There's a bunch of like weird strategic implications, and like who knows where streaming goes in the next 5 years, especially if like genuinely all this generative AI nonsense pops off like really big time, and if they start, because they will experiment with this, obviously they will. So it's very hard to say where all of it goes, but I do think they are dipping into seeing what if One Piece was the next big thing. Because again, I've talked about this before, they already have the anime locked in as well, right? Like the Wit remake, that's going to be Netflix, and they obviously want to make sure that the live action lasts until the anime comes out. So they have a lot of financial incentive to make sure this thing lasts for as long as possible, so that the Wit remake comes out, people can start watching the Wit remake, and eventually start watching the old anime that is also on Netflix. So it's just like one big funnel that eventually leads back to the old anime, and you're still on Netflix. So it works for them either way. But again, this is like years down the line, who the hell knows? We just talked about the freaking the AI picture thingy, right? If it gets that good for video, I mean, who the hell knows what happens then? Thank you for reminding me. There is a video with Iñaki and Zolo. I don't. People keep saying that. I'm gonna keep pronouncing it as Zolo. Okay, shut up. Shut up. Let's watch this. There is copyrighted music in this, so we're gonna wait until the bit starts. We got our two brothers. We got our two brothers hanging out, doing whatever it is they're doing. I don't know what exactly they're doing, but they are doing something. There they are. There we go. These are our two aura farming brothers. Look at them. Look at them. Okay. That's enough Twitter. Any news on Koroto? No, I'm almost certain he doesn't exist. I am almost certain that Koroto does not exist. That's my opinion anyway. I don't want to live in a reality without Koroto. Yeah, I am 90% sure Koroto just doesn't exist. I think it's gonna be literally like the Flopsy situation. Mentioned it a million times, Flopsy. I see you mentioning it as well. Flopsy in Netflix Avatar. They made him a statue. So this is literally just a nod, and that's it. Because they had like Appa and Momo, and like they are so ludicrously expensive that it's like we're not gonna spend more money on a weird thing that is gonna be like ludicrously expensive for one episode. It's just a bad use of resources, you know? Like it literally doesn't make sense to spend money on Flopsy, really. And I think Koroto is like the same thing. It's just too expensive to do. I think it's as simple as that. How can they remove one of the Nakama? Sometimes you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. But I mean, hey, if you still want to huff copium, Season 3 news is just getting started. Maybe we're gonna get Koroto stuff in Season 3. It's just not appearing in Season 2. Maybe. Maybe. I don't think so. I don't. But maybe. Alabasta won't have many visual effects besides devil fruits. Oh yeah, and that little thing called Chopper for literally the entire season. Look, I would rather completely remove Koroto to get more Chopper. I'm gonna be real with you. I would make this deal. I think it's a damn good deal. I think it's a damn good deal. I'd make that deal. I'd make that deal in a heartbeat.